So, because I had absolutely nothing better to do, I decided to sit down and sludge my way through the newest Helluva episode, Apology Tour. As you can tell by the video title, this doesn't come across as a very nice review, and unsurprisingly, when I watched the episode, I really actually liked it. You see, I actually love Helluva, and I have no shame in saying that it's my favorite show of all goddamn time, not just because of Luna and Beelzebub, but because I'm so invested in the world building and the characters, and the humor, although a bit too heavy on the swearing at times, actually kind of fits my taste. I just can't get enough of these characters, you know, and while sometimes I wish Season 2 introduced more original characters, I can never help but smile seeing so many old ones come back and introduce new sides of their personalities. But even though I still personally love nearly everything about the show, I'm not going to deny that the writing aspect of it has a lot of flaws, like a lot of issues, like an extremely copious amount of... Okay, let's just get into the video, because the longer I yap, the more editing I have to do, and I can't just pump videos out left and right because this isn't my actual goddamn job. So when I first watched Season 2, Episode 9's Apology Tour, I was really surprised, not just because two complete rivals from the first episode became the lesbian for each other, but also because the entire episode primarily takes place in one spot. I thought that the episode would jump all over the place and be an action kind of episode, considering that I thought the stains on Blitz's rag were blood, but I guess not. But I was pleasantly surprised to see how the episode contained itself in one location, so that it had time to explore the characters rather than the setting. I thought Verosika was way more fleshed out in this episode than she was in Spring Broken, and it was really nice watching this scene and seeing her having more character than just being a one-dimensional antagonist. So listen, I'm not like an actual movie critic. I didn't watch Apology Tour looking to pick apart and analyze every single good and bad thing about the episode. I was just having a good time. But then, as I was watching the Verosika scene I was praising earlier, there was something I noticed that became so glaringly apparent that it was impossible to ignore, and on the second rewatch I realized that this issue filled practically every single minute of the episode. But for me, it all started with this one short line of dialogue.
But hosting this party for everyone else you've dicked over, at least I can help others cope with the shit you did.
Okay, so it took me a while to really figure out what was off about this line, but then I realized that it sounds so fake. It doesn't sound natural, and it's not something a person would ever realistically say. The reason this line of dialogue feels so weird and on the nose is because it was completely unnecessary, and that's what led me to making this video. Apology Tour has a massive issue with the idea of show, don't tell. While I think this is one of the better episodes of Season 2 and the show as a whole, this issue is bigger in Apology Tour than in pretty much any other episode I've seen. This episode is actually great because it delves into the character's thoughts and feelings, but the problem is that 90% of these thoughts and feelings are just explicitly stated out loud for the sake of the audience. And what's so frustrating is that most of the time, the audience already knew that information by simple connecting the dots. Verosika, as we already know, hates Blitz because he's screwed over. She hosts a party dedicated to hating Blitz, but surprisingly it's filled with genuinely nice and caring people, and the fact they all spend more time coming together rather than tearing each other apart proves just how in the wrong Blitz was, not just to Verosika, but to all these other people as well. This was, in my opinion, one of the simplest but most powerful things the writing team of Helluva has ever done, because everything I just explained could have easily been accomplished without a character saying a single word. The lesser known fact about audiences is that no matter what their opinion of any form of entertainment is, whether it be movies, shows, or video games, people like to be challenged. They like to be presented with what's shown to them and piece together aspects of the story for themselves. The issue with Apology Tour, though, is that there are so many things that characters think and feel that the audience can easily piece together with visual storytelling, but then the episode just has each character explicitly say their needs and motivations out loud. The problem with this kind of storytelling is that when you just give the audience everything without making them work for it, you're essentially patronizing them. You're spoon-feeding them information because you don't think they can piece together the story for themselves. Like Verosika, the audience already knows exactly how you feel about Blitz and why you hosted this party. Blitz already knows everything too. You don't have to explicitly say it out loud. It's okay to directly explain some character motivations to the audience, like in musical numbers, but when you do it to the extent that Apology Tour does it, you're essentially treating your audience like children. So in order to explain my thoughts better, we need to go back to 2008, where I watched a movie with one of, if not the best example of visual storytelling for character motivations I've ever seen. That being the characters of Wally and Eve. Aside from reiterating each other's names every now and then, the entirety of their relationship is presented without words. without a single line of dialogue. From the moment Wally meets Eve to their final kiss, you can see every single beat of progression in their relationship as they become closer and closer together, and the writing behind their interactions is just so genius that it's not even in my realm of expertise to, give it the full justice it deserves in terms of analysis. I'll just leave that to someone else. But the point is, it's impossible to watch the movie and not understand every single thing about Wally and Eve's motivations, and it's all accomplished through showing and not telling. There's this beautiful scene where Eve looks through the camera recordings of Wally from when she was unconscious, and just by her putting her hands together, it tells the audience everything without anyone actually saying a single word. Now, imagine how much less impactful this scene would have been if instead of Eve reacting as she did, she just sat there without moving at all, while the captain just, slid in from the side to say, it really seems like Wally had feelings for you from the very beginning, and even though you weren't there to see, he still went through all the trouble to protect you and keep you safe, and it took you a while to realize just how much he cared about you. But now you know, and now your relationship with him is stronger than it ever was before. So you see, both versions of this convey the exact same message. One of them is extremely emotionally powerful, and the other one completely fucks up the moment.
You just fucked this moment. This beautiful, tender moment with your accordion. You just whipped out your accordion and you fucked it.
Like I said, after I noticed this issue with this one scene with Verosika, I then went back to rewatch the episode and pay attention for more instances of this issue. And boy, are there a lot of cases of characters just explicitly saying their motivations for the sake of the audience.
I said sorry a lot today, and honestly, didn't really mean any of it, because the only one I wanted to say it to was you, Stolas.
The worst part is you still make me feel like a bad person for being angry at you now.
I was hoping my lack of ha-has in response to the photos you sent would be an indicator I didn't want to talk right now.
You want to know what I want? I want to know what it's like to not be alone.
I'm uncomfortable with how you're speaking to me.
I want to be someone's...
Fucking shitty!
I don't want to be this way.
Stay or go. I want someone to
Not
want
for
me. So you're used to being the one who crushes others' feelings,
Dicked over. At least I can help others cope with the shit you did.
The point is, this episode has a lot of flat dialogue for the sake of telling the audience things they already pieced together themselves. And what's even more frustrating about this episode in particular is that there are scenes that perfectly show and not tell, but then the writers thought it was necessary to add in dialogue on top of it for absolutely no reason. It's like those YouTube shorts that just explain what's happening on screen and offer no new information whatsoever. It's just yapping. A large chunk of the dialogue in this episode is just yapping.
Speak from your heart. We all here know how you feel.
Yeah, Verosika, I agree. So, Stolas, you don't actually have to explain everything again. Oh, okay. Just kidding, the song was amazing. And like I said earlier, musical numbers are a perfectly fine way to explain character motivations directly to the audience, as long as it's just more than flat exposition dumps, and it has emotion packed into it. So in conclusion, Helluva Season 2, Episode 9, Apologitor, fails at show don't tell because it has characters simply tell the audience how they feel. The episode does a perfectly good job at showing the audience how characters think and feel at some points, but that's why I put emphasis on the don't, because then the episode inexplicably pulls itself down by reiterating the exact same messages through flat, meaningless dialogue. Again, I have nothing against the writers or the show as a whole. I love Helluva and I loved watching Apologitor, but just because I love a show doesn't mean it has no flaws. And when it comes to the writing, there are a lot of things, even for a dedicated fan like me, to criticize.
You just whipped out your accordion and you fucked it, man.
I don't expect the writers of Helluva to change based on some random guy's criticism on YouTube. But I made this video for people who are interested in writing their own stories and characters, and to emphasize the importance of showing without telling. Well, now we're at the end of the video. If you miraculously made it to the end, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed and liked it. I haven't uploaded anything in almost half a year, so it's going to be hard to get this channel back up out of the dirt again, but thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.